March 6, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today and how I marked it up. There was two times in the day where economic data was released. One was at 5:15 Pacific Standard, which is about right here where my cursor is sitting. It was the ADP Non-Farm Employment Change. And then the second one was at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard, which is about right here. And you could say maybe it caused a sell-off. This has happened from here to about here, happened in about 8 minutes. It was the Fed Chair Powell starting to testify, as well as the job openings. There were a few setups in here, and I missed the setup, so I ended up with no trades. I'm going to go through the chart right now. Toward the end, it was getting very whipsaw, and after the fact, when you look at it, you think, or I thought, man, I wish I could have saw some of this because it looked like there was some really nice big swings. Unfortunately, back here, all the setups, there was something wrong, either with the signal bar or the setup just didn't look clean. It was almost like an opposite. So when you watch in real time, and I'll get to it, there's no clear indication to tell you to get a trade ready because it's a little bit devious. So it got a little tricky back here. So pre-market, but yesterday was kind of this weird, crazy, gradual sell-off, and then at the very end, it kind of rallied. And today, it looked like it just continued the rally in the pre-market. Let's see here. I saw this yellow channel, and I was just wondering if it was going to come into play, and I anticipated a corrective rally to keep going. Market's open, creates a new high, first entry long, and it just kind of matches the high, and it keeps going. And I do notice that prices are respecting the EMA. Creates a first entry long here. Technically, it's a second entry long, but nothing here tells me to take a trade or to get ready for a trade. No setup. Here I do see a second entry short. I thought it was a possible trade because it's coming off the lows. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Now the second entry short hasn't confirmed, but it's 2 legs up. Break of the screen channel, made 1 attempt down, and now it could be starting the second attempt down. Here was a good signal bar. It flashes below, and I think if I wanted to take this entry, I would have taken it at the engulfing. Even though this is kind of an inside bar, I think this had 2 clean legs up. You don't really know that prices are going to start coming down, but I suspected since it's kind of topping out, it might have been at least range bound for the moment. I thought this might have been a possible trade, but I didn't feel comfortable enough to take it, even though it made a double bottom here. I think the thing that would have pushed and won me over is if this signal bar had actually just ticked below this one at least, or closed very bullish down here if it made a double bottom. It's like if I did take the trade and the engulfing, I think it probably would have been right here and they would have had enough for a quick scalp. It's congested, moves sideways. Here creates another potential setup that I saw. It's a new low, it's a first entry short, pullback. Here it creates, it's about to create a second entry short. I like that the EMA was starting to hold prices down. I didn't have this purple trend line yet, but here it closes, and I think if I were to take this trade, I probably feel pretty nervous. I did think it was in a trading range. So although it's a possible trade, I didn't really like it. And then when it flashes down like this, definitely if you didn't enter here, felt nervous, here would have been too late because you would have been already at the lows of this possible range, as well as some kind of support is kind of visible here. So I think if you took this trade, it would have been a little more aggressive, a little more of a Hail Mary. Prices then continue, so it's like a first entry long, second entry long. Nothing here tells you to get ready to go long. And it gets big candle up. Plus, this is right around when the economic data is coming out. Fed Chair Powell is about to testify. So you don't want to really be trading this because it can get crazy whippy, as it kind of does. Because from here at 7 o'clock, this is only 7 minutes of trading, and there's already this much movement. Prices move, and it moves back up. And here I start suspecting this purple down channel might actually be the something that the prices are respecting. Once this hit this here and here, I drew it. I kind of extended it out here. There was a small little bit of adjustment. I did bring it down, tweak it just so it would touch here. bottom I'm not too sure of, but it does touch once, twice, or just once here nicely, once here. So there's an overshoot. Looks like it's one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. Now I'm wondering if it's going to create a corresponding overshoot on this side, but there was no setup to take this. Looks like it's respecting this purple down channel for now, and now it breaks through. So here I'm still sitting, watching and waiting. First entry long, and that's all you get. Then it creates a new high, chops around. It breaks out of the green channel, makes a new low. It's getting a little bit whipsaw, like big candles, almost the same size, pushing back up and pushing back down. I'm not too keen on this. There is a trading range that I think exists here. So here, I did draw a trend line going up. It wasn't, so this red channel develops later, but I wasn't really sure where the top of this trend line could be to form a channel. So it was kind of sitting close to where this red dotted line was. And I was thinking at one time it was even higher. So I actually adjusted here. So one time I thought it was here, then I actually drew it and adjusted it to about right there. Well, we'll go with this for now. There's a bounce up, but I don't really see anything trades that I would have taken. It's first entry long, second entry long, but this isn't a very nice second entry long. It's definitely congested because it got doji candle here. These are pretty close to being doji, so even if it's a second entry long, I don't like this. Even if the EMA is holding, it just feels like it's too sideways. Flashes down. So here I'm pretty confident in the red trend line holding now. So it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I thought this is kind of a, well, kind of an almost setup. The thing that I didn't like, so first thing is, it's a new low, it's a first entry short, second entry short, failure. This is a pretty strong failure. It's really nice. I think this would have been a trade had this high been a little higher to ensure you get a safe scalp out. But here, it's 51.13.25, and here it's still 51.13.75. So you only have half a point. Trust that the momentum here is enough to give you a quick, clean scalp. I wasn't too sure of it, so I called it an almost setup. Here would have if I entered, I would have been like really wondering if I was going to be able to get out safely. Of course, then it works out, but I don't like to take that trade, and I'm kind of happy I didn't. So it's almost set up. This just needs to be higher. Prices move up. It breaks out of this red channel that I had here, and I first thought, okay, I have an overshoot. I drew this yellow up channel, the first entry long, kind of moves back up. Technically, you have a second entry long right here. So it's from here, first attempt up, second attempt up. But this isn't a very good signal bar to go long on. And once completed, to confirm your second entry long, it looks weak because it doesn't, it seems like it's having trouble getting to the top, but that doesn't necessarily mean you want to take a short because EMA is starting to creep upwards with it. Price then top kind of gets a little confusing because it's just not giving it any good setups. At this point, I was thinking maybe I'm a little bit higher here. There's no confirmation here that I didn't really like, so I thought, well, what's to stop me from kind of putting it up here then? I kind of had it there for a little while. The midline kind of became the determining, I guess, top of the channel for down here. Falls down, it bounces. So I thought, okay, there's some kind of support here potentially, not necessarily a trading range yet. Creates a new low. It's a first entry short, pull back, creates a second entry short, and it creates a second entry short failure because it ticked one tick below. So if you decide to go short, which is a bad idea because this isn't a very good signal bar to go short, context wise, it's looking very bullish, but it seems to be kind of tapering out at the top, so it might be exhausted. But here, if it is technically a second entry short and it fails, it is bouncing off the EMA. There might have been a possible trade here because it's a good signal bar, but whether you have this or not feels definitely congested, and I thought I might be approaching the top of the range. So if it's a possible trade, it just feels a little iffy. Of course it works, but then it pushes up. So I saw this, I didn't think about it too much in real time. After it completed, I did mark it as a failed second entry short, first entry short, second entry short, but it's a little bit biased because I found out after the fact, and then I went back and marked it. Prices then continued chopping. I guess this is just really tight trading. Nothing particularly nice about it. Pushes up on this green channel. Again, it's making this quadruple top. So I'm thinking there's a lot of resistance here. If it pushes up, I don't know if necessarily you want to chase it because there's no clean setup. It falls into what I think is another trading range. So finally it breaks above, creates a new low, technically a new low area, first entry short, creates a second entry short. It almost touches the EMA. So I'm wondering if there's a long possible here because there's a failed breakout here, but I'm aware of this failed breakout could kind of push back down to the other side. So I don't think there's any kind of trade here. Here would have been deceiving because it's a new low here. First entry short, second entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short failure here. But this failure, it just feels it's in the middle of this range. It's very tight. I don't really trust it. It could be the first attempt up, and then it could make another leg down to break to the other side. It kind of does that. And I also saw this. I marked it with a black arrow because this one I wasn't really sure what was going on at the time, and I was questioning whether I should have marked it. It's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. This hasn't created a second entry long yet, but it is bouncing off this red channel. This red channel could have fit a little bit nicer, but it is definitely a bounce off of it. So I was wondering if there's a second entry long here to push back up through the EMA. So wasn't sure. It looked like it would have trapped you because it would have entered here, come down, and probably stop you out here. So it's just something very interesting I saw here. I think this might have trapped some people. Prices continue on this green channel down, has an overshoot, continues downward, breaks up and over. EMA is starting to come into play. It looks like it's acting as some kind of resistance. It gets very, well, just kind of a little congested here because there's small candles, big wicks, flashes up. So here, I saw this and I was wondering, okay, so technically your new low is here. And then this one doesn't make a lower low than this one, but it's only one tick away. So I just decided, okay, what if the structure actually started here? So it's a new low here, push up, you have a definitive, very clear one pullback, first entry short, definitive, clear pullback, second entry short. The second entry short, it's the second entry short, it looks like it's kind of like it's trying to push back to the top, but it's failing. It didn't break back into the red channel. So I didn't really like it. You see this in real time, and it just feels a little premature. I had kind of something drawn here, but I didn't really necessarily have this here. I actually had it a little bit lower. Could have been an overshoot, and it could be moving back down. So I thought, okay, well, my idea is to go short. I'm thinking prices going long are starting to lose steam. Then this setup occurs. It's a lower high. Here it confirms a lower high. So I thought this lower high is confirming the second entry short. It's the break of this red channel. Red channel broke out, made one attempt up. This could be the second attempt up to test the highs, and it looked like it failed on this move here. It tried another attempt here. It looked like it failed again. So I thought the uptrend for the red channel might be playing out. Looks like there's enough room for the EMA for a quick scalp. So I actually tried to take this trade, but this happened rather quickly. And so I'm thinking it might at least, even if it wasn't this yellow channel, it probably might have enough oomph to at least get down to here. So when this happened very, very quickly. I had my order at the lows here. So when I saw this, I said, okay, I want to enter this trade. I got my order ready. This opened already. I dropped it in right here. It had already made this move, and by then it was already way down here, pushing past. So it already made my scalp. I didn't want to chase it. I didn't want to see if it would come back, pick me up, and come back down, especially when it already made my scalp. So then I had to cancel my order. So this was kind of a missed trade. Then prices continue moving down. So if you had a runner on this, it would have been pretty nice. So here clearly shows me that, okay, the red up channel has played out. It looked like it's moving back into the pre-market range. It made one attempt to push back out, but it failed. But there was no setup that I liked, or no setup actually. Technically, you have a new entry, you have a new high, first entry long, you have a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. After this closes, I wasn't that enthusiastic about chasing it. You do have a higher low here, but these candles are pretty much side by side, and that makes me nervous because when it big up, big down, big up, it makes me worried that it might have another big down. It's just a little un it's a little confusing for me, ambiguous to know who's in control. But clearly the bulls are in control, pushes up. It pushes up to here. So here I drew this as a trend line here. It's not really a channel yet. Then it pushes really strongly down. I was just like, wow, I'm wondering what kind of news is happening. Maybe I think Fed Chair Powell has already finished testifying, so there's no real news here that kind of pointed or at least gave me some idea that I should have been watching and waiting for a lot of volatility. The first entry long, technically I have a second entry long here. It broke below this, so I wasn't really thinking of going long here when I was watching this in real time. Looks like it didn't really happen. And then it broke this green channel, made a new low. Downtrend technically has played out. I copied this and dropped it down to here because I noticed it touched here twice. So I'm thinking maybe there's a blue channel here. But fortunately, it flashes back up, comes back down, almost makes the same size candle. So now I'm looking back and I'm thinking, wow, makes the same size candle here. There's a big violent move down, push up, another move down, then this big strong push up, another big violent move back down. It's a little confusing, but it looks like prices are starting to trend down. You do have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short here, maybe there's a trade. This just made me want to be a little more cautious because if this blue channel is in play, it went from the highs to the lows, to the highs, to the lows, it could be trying to make another move to the high. So I wasn't thinking short here. I did draw this yellow channel at the time. I thought, okay, there's good confirmation here. I'm going to look for a setup. If it comes back to here, also ideally with the EMA, there might be a nice setup. So it's a first entry long. I'm going to look for a second entry long here. Pushes up. It doesn't give you the second entry long. By this time, there is no setup, and any kind of trade I wanted to take definitely is gone. And I was feeling FOMO because I'm seeing all this price action. I thought back, kept reviewing, thinking, was there something I missed? Well, definitely missed this one. And maybe some of these other trades are a little bit more aggressive, but just definitely feeling mentally tired and wishing, I could get something. Price of then chop. It hits here. It looks like it might hold. It gets very congested here, 2 dojis. So I'm now abandoning the idea of going long now, but I'm definitely not thinking going short. Again, it's just more congestion. Finally breaks down below. It just out here decides to make a turn upwards. It breaks out of this yellow channel. So here it makes 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. And I like this because I saw new low here. It's a first entry short, pullback. This hasn't confirmed a second entry short yet, but I thought this might have been a possible trade. But then when this candle closed like this, first it opened, I wasn't ready to take a trade yet. I just wanted to be doubly sure. This looked, well, pretty ugly because it's confirmed second entry short, but it looked like bulls had enough power to push it all the way back to the open. And the open, unfortunately, was rather high. So this is a doji that's more bullish biased, but the setup is telling me it already made a new high. This resistance, if it's valid, will hold and push things down. Overall, the swings are making lower highs every time. Unfortunately, this doesn't feel like a safe trade, so I had to definitely leave it alone. I think it would have been possible if you're just aggressive and you decide to take it on this candle based upon the strength of this candle, but that felt too aggressive for me. Then it creates a lower high confirmation. This lower high confirmation confirms a second entry short and engulfs this entire candle, which is really nice. And it stops short of breaking through the EMA. EMA is flattening out. And I think it's a possible trade, but if I had more conviction or I trusted it more, I needed this guy to close at the very low, not have this extra tick. Or even though the EMA is kind of not as important right now, that's true in a range, but this is more of a down channel. So I wanted this to actually have broken below. But this is a possible trade, I think, if you're more aggressive. Then this candle forms. I think if I didn't take the trade, which I didn't, and I saw it here, I would have been hesitant. Then this next candle flashes down. This would have been nice to if you trusted the strength of this, but unfortunately it's an inside candle to this one. So if this would at least made matching double bottom or broke below, then I think I would have definitely jumped on this candle or gotten ready after the close, ideally below here, and jumped on it, and I would have picked up on this one. Prices then moved down, so it's a new high, first entry long, second entry long failure. It's another rejection off the top of this blue down channel. It's a pretty decent signal bar for this failure. There's enough room to push back down, but I wasn't focused enough to see this trade play out. So unfortunately, I wasn't on this trade. Prices then continue moving down. First entry long, second entry long. This is where kind of prices start getting a little more whipsaw, and also it creates setups that were always lacking in one way or another. So this is second entry long, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Didn't really quite touch the bottom. It's not the right signal bar. Pushes up. First entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here now, but it's again when you see this candle, there's nothing telling you to get a short ready. Prices then continue moving. I drew this green up channel. It doesn't fit that nicely. It's a first entry long here. Technically, you have a second entry long here. This feels dangerous because currently prices they're whipsawing, but they're gradually making their way down. So you had this really strong push up. Then it creates this nice candle here, but you could have just saw this as one leg down, even though it lipped once up here. It is still trending down. So even though it's a first entry long, second entry long, it could be a visual first entry long. Then it could be potentially a second entry long. So it keeps chopping. I saw this as a potential fail breakout of this small little range and a triple test. So it tried to push down once, actually even started back here, just some kind of support. But the range I thought started here. So try to push down once, twice. This could be a third time. Unfortunately, this isn't the right candle. It needed to be, well, it is the correct bullish candle, but I needed to be higher because it felt a little neutral. But then by the time this candle opens and closes, the trade has already been made, and it was kind of a bummer. And of course, then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's going to reverse, but I don't like to just suddenly change my thinking it's going to come right back down. Even though this is a relatively decent candle, so one attempt up, this is the second attempt up, potential fail breakout. Maybe there's a trade there. Prices then continue moving down. If not, there is a higher low here. By the time this higher low closes, you're near the bottom of the range and you'd be selling right into support. Prices then move. So I mark this one again. So it's a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. This is a fail breakout potentially of this blue range. This is a rather big break. So at that time, I thought maybe it's a two-tiered range, and this is at the highs. Unfortunately, this candle, which would be telling me to get ready for a short, doesn't form correctly. It's inside to this one. Fortunately, if this had actually just closed more bearish at the lows, even if it was inside, I would have considered potentially taking a trade because it looks like it's two attempts up, losing steam, hitting the support, or actually hitting this resistance. Prices might be coming back down. And then this one forms, it chops sideways. Here, if you weren't already in the trade, then it would have been hard to convince me to get in at this point because it looks like it's just too congested. Prices move down, hits the bottom. It's just kind of choppy again. New high, first entry long, then it flashes down. So it's just getting whipsawed up and down, but every time it's making lower highs and lower lows. So it looks like it's starting to trend down, although it looks like it might still be in a range, but the range isn't clean. And you only got a first entry here. Technically, you have a new high. Well, new high, first entry long, second entry long, count resets. First entry long, second entry long. This is a second entry long signal bar. It's not very convincing. It's debatable whether it's really approaching and moving back into this bigger range because it's making lower highs each time, and each lower low is breaking further from support. So it's hard for us to take a trade. It gets chopping whipsaw, and then for kind of like this last push up, there's this very strong push that happens in about 3 minutes, and there's no reason that I could find that would do this. Definitely had to fight the FOMO. It pushes up again, starts flashing down, and it just gets very, very, well, very choppy and tricky trading. Because this moves into the last 10 minutes, which gets very whipsaw, and then it kind of moves into the close. So overall, the chart today, it looks like there are just possible trades everywhere. But when I zoomed in and really looked at it, there were a few trades, but they were subtle, or they just required a little more, I think, a little more of an aggressive entry. There was one trade that I missed, and I kind of definitely affected me because I felt FOMO as I watched the rest of the day unfold, and all these big swings kind of tease you into thinking you should take a trade, but a lot of the setups just weren't there or they weren't clean. So definitely a frustrating day, just kind of sitting through this. But yeah, end the day with no trades is better than a red trade. So hopefully that was helpful.